1 2 1 2 in the place to be. What's up, y'all? How y'all feel out there? Once again, another edition of the In the Dungeon Show, the award-winning In the Dungeon Show. Figured that one out. My name is Frank Red. How y'all doing out there? It is awesome to talk to you and engage with you in the world of sports. I'm excited about hip-hop. Also, this has been a big week for hip-hop. Those who are in the game know why. But I'll tell you why. I'll give you my opinion on that. It might be monumental. In fact, I'm also going to do something with regards to a movie tonight that I haven't done in the past. And I think it's going to be interesting. So stay tuned for that. But at the forefront is our love and admiration for sports and the diversion that it gives us all. Hope looms eternal. I don't know if I use that correctly, but let's go with it. Know what I love also? I love people who don't know me, who might not know the show. And like I'll list it on X and somebody might be like, well, what is this show? What is it about? And then they'll turn it on and immediately drop out like, oh, what the hell am I doing? Why am I here? It's kind of like when you hear a record and you don't give that record that particular, you don't give the record a chance to wet your taste buds. I don't like it. And you haven't even listened to it. You haven't listened to it yet. I love that because what it does, it creates an opportunity and it really builds on the support of people who like the show, who check it out, who give it a real opportunity and draw a conclusion. You can't draw a conclusion in 1 second. You gotta listen to it. So, but I like that because it happens every week. And some people like to draw conclusions and make decisions based on the wave of the crowd. I thank my mother that I've always been a leader because she made sure that all of her kids were leaders. I make my own decisions after going through a process of consideration, logic, thought, taste, enjoyment. All of those things enter into my mind to decide if I'm going to support something or not. Guess what? I support things that I don't agree with. It's incredible when you have a mind and you're so comfortable with yourself that you can support something, meaning that you'll listen to it or you'll watch it or you'll read it. And you, at the end of the day, realize that no, you don't agree with it, but you gave it an opportunity. I salute everybody out there who has that mindset checking out this show. We appreciate you. We do a lot of work in preparation for the In the Dungeon show. And hopefully you feel that or you see that or you hear it while checking the show out. All right. My name is Frank Red, if you didn't know. Hit me up at Big Frank Red on X. Numbers are getting larger. We're starting to run them up a little bit. I appreciate that. For those who like the show, hit that like button. We got a considerable number of likes last week. I have every reason to believe that all of it is genuine. Let's take it up another level. So if you're listening, you like the show, you've heard it before. These algorithms do work. So like the show. Subscribe if you like it as well. I really appreciate it. I got 2 shout outs at the stop. I want to shout out my man KC of KC and Delo 1320, the ESPN affiliate up in Sacramento, for having me on their show on Friday afternoon. I had a wonderful time, was thoroughly loved on and embraced, and we talked hoops, we talked Warriors, we talked Kings, and it was a good time. I salute you, KC. Thank you, brother. I also want to salute one of my great friends in the business who has supported me for a long period of time and found a way not to offend anybody in 30 years. Still hopping, still got juice. The great Jason Ross, a KHCK 1140. I guess they call it hot Hot Talk now, Hot Talk 1140. Hot Talk 1140 with yours truly, Jason Ross. Jason Ross is salt of the earth, an incredible person, and he just made 30 years. Congratulations, J. Ross, and continued success. Let's get to it. All right. I'm going to hit on the Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings, Summer League in general, free agency, some of my hits and misses going into the NBA draft, players I told you to be on the lookout for that are now starting to make names for themselves before the world. All things NBA we can talk about. You want to touch on the WNBA a little bit? It's all good. I don't know if there's any major stories out there beyond Caitlin Clark ascending and gaining the respect of her peers. That's the most important thing to me while winning games. There's a sickness out there, though. As much hate as there is sometimes for Angel Reese, there's a comparable amount of hate for Caitlin Clark's coach, Christy Sides. And I'm blown away by it. I mean, they won, like 4 games last year? Something like that? Maybe it was more than that. But this team is literally in the playoffs right now, 11-14. Give her some credit. Even if you don't like her, you don't think she's the greatest coach, she's responsible for 11 wins. It's not one player. All right? We're going to talk movies, and we're going to talk hip-hop music also. This week, on Friday, Common, who is a Renaissance man in every facet of the word, Tony, Oscar, countless hip-hop albums. He and Pete Rock, one of the original producers on Nas' Illmatic, collaborated and put out an album this Friday. And it's really, really good. Everything I've heard off of it thus far is I'm really excited about. I love their rollout. They've been on radio, they've been on television, and they are also speaking without saying anything. What they're showing is that artists who have been around for a while, who've had illustrious careers, can still move the needle, can still put their minds together and create magic and create timeless music. I'm so proud of these brothers, and what I'm hoping is that it's going to continue to encourage other great artists. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your gender is. I don't care. I'm really about the music, and I'm about the sonics of the music and the lyrics. Salute Pete Rock and Common for showing the world what they can do and hopefully inspiring other folks. Ghostface got a joint out there that I've been listening to that I like. So all things hip hop. You want to chat? You want to chime in? Feel free. All right. We'll get into some more stuff also. But my name is Frank Red. Hit me up in the comment section if you want to join the program and talk about some things that maybe I haven't talked about. All right. I'm gonna start with Brandon Podzinski. Brandon Podzinski tonight, it was a summer league game against the Chicago Bulls, but he was outstanding. He looked like he played tonight like he looks in the regular season. Not that he's the next coming of Larry Bird or Stephen Curry, but the intelligence, the calmness, the leadership, the timeliness that he plays the game of basketball with, I was impressed with. Do I think he needs to be a starter? He's going to start some games. Does he need to be a starter who's going to replace Klay Thompson? I don't see that. But I see a guy who is clearly a player. And it's funny to me because his best asset is his mind. I could pick apart various aspects of his game, but I can also acknowledge so many other things that he does well that allows him to not only have a career at the NBA level, but maybe push the needle a little bit. So I want to big him up. He had 21 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists. The same can be said for Trace Jackson Davis, the 57th pick from last year's draft. I mean, Montez Brucelis, the rookie from Chicago, looked pretty damn good. All right, he got off. He had 28 points. But those were the top three players. And number 4 would be Daquan Plowden, who's come out of nowhere to play some good basketball as a Warrior. He's had a couple of coffee with the New Orleans Pelicans and the Orlando Magic. I think he has a chance to possibly make the team at the very least, get a two-way deal. Ethan Thompson from Oregon State too. Kind of a nuanced guy. He's been in the G League for the past 3 years. He might be running out of options, but he's close to being an NBA player. He really is. So good things are happening with the Warriors. The Sacramento Kings, I mean, you're starting at the top with DeMar DeRozan. I mean, you got a draft pick who you like, you have to wait on. But DeMar DeRozan, keep saying that name, knowing he's going to be in the starting lineup for the Kings, has to make you feel good. This team's going to be one of the top 5 scoring teams in the NBA this year. And they're one of the few teams in the West that has a legitimate chance to win 50 games. So, Kings, I know Kings are feeling good. And from the Warriors' perspective, we got to change the narrative a little bit. We want to compete for a championship because Stephen Curry's still in his prime. Yeah, you know what? Stephen Curry, like everybody, makes choices. And if he wants to finish his career as a Golden State Warrior, he's the one that's going to make that choice, not the Warriors. He has 2 years left on his deal. When they offer him a gazillion dollars in the next few months or at some point in the near future, he doesn't have to sign it. He can say, you know what, I want to wait. I want to see where this franchise is going. The Warriors are putting themselves in much better financial shape. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to sign Kuminga? Are you going to trade him for a player that I like and I respect? Because I tell you what, if you think that Stephen Curry isn't locked in, what do you think about Lauri Markkanen? What do you think about player X? If you think he's not locked in, you're out of your mind. You are. So he's involved. They were all go on Paul George. There's a reason why the Warriors have not traded for Lauri Markkanen. All the fans, we want Lauri Markkanen. We are 25-8. I'm like, slow down, bro. Slow down. Slow down. See what you got. I like this team. I like the additions. There were smart additions for players who know how to play basketball. I want some runway for Trace Jackson Davis to develop. Don't tell me how small he is. Tell me how good he is. That's what I want to hear. Brandon Podzinski maybe is better than maybe people think he is. Might be better than I think he is. Prove me wrong. Give him the runway. Moses Moody. You're not going to give away Wiggins. You're not. As agonizing as he is to watch at times, still very talented. And I want to see Jonathan Kuminga blossom. I want to see him get paid, but I want to see him play 37, 38 minutes a game this year. If you give him 37, 38 minutes a game, he's going to average close to 20 points a game. Cut his turnovers in half. I would love to see him average 2 turnovers a game and maybe 3 or 4 assists. That would constitute growth. I want to see that. Now, I'm going to start off at the top. The more I see Bronny James, the kid, the person, the young man, I like him and I root for him. I do. I want to see Bronny James be successful because regardless of what you think of him, he's just a kid. Yeah, has nepotism been involved? Yes, it has. You know how many examples I can give you of nepotism in sports and in life? The one defining characteristic that keeps coming up with Bronny James is he's a great teammate. His teammates like him. Give the parents some credit for that with all of the helicopter parenting that's being done. Give the kid credit for being a good human being. Now, it's only the summer league, but I'm going to tell you, based on what I have seen thus far, I'm disgusted by how the coaches of the Lakers are using him. I'm disgusted by it. If this dude is a priority, if you're going to extend millions of dollars to a second-round draft pick, aren't you going to take the time to invest in him? Why is this guy not playing point guard? All due respect to, what's his name, Stu City guy played at St. Mary's. Come on, man. Really? Put the ball in Bronny James's hands and give him 2 or 3 things to do in a game. Pass the ball, set picks, dive on the floor, make basic passes, spread the floor. Seeing this kid stand and run to the corner, taking contested shots against players who are 3-4 inches taller than him, is a losing proposition. It's not his fault. And all of a sudden people are flashing his stats. Oh, he shot 2 for 9 and 0 for 5. I don't care what the stats are. That's not basketball. Do you know how many ways there is that you can contribute to success in basketball beyond scoring? If scoring was the most important aspect of the game, Daquan Plowden would be in the NBA. The Warriors free agent who had 19 last night, 14 tonight, 29 in another. It's not about that. The NBA has a ton of scorers. They want winners. They want mixers. They want facilitators. They want table setters. They want perimeter defenders. They want screen setters. Do you know when Stephen Curry became the best example of himself? Probably around year 7 or 8, when he bulked up, he got bigger, and he started setting screens. He looked like John Stockton out there. Stephen Curry became one of the best screen setters in the NBA of guards in general. He's tapered off a little bit because injuries have kind of waned, but when the Warriors were winning championships, Stephen Curry was setting great picks. Oftentimes, the beneficiary of those great picks was his running mate, Klay Thompson. Let's talk basketball. All right? Let's see the game. Stop getting your cues from people that don't know what the hell they're talking about. Bronny James is not a finished product by any stretch. He's going to spend a lot of time in the G League. But anybody who thinks this kid doesn't have NBA talent, you're out of your mind. He does have NBA talent, but he needs to be coached up. It's why the Warriors wanted Danny Hurley and not J.J. Redick. You know what J.J. Redick's going to do? He's going to create a more cohesive offense. Players are going to like that. Bron is going to like that because the onus of him educating his teammates would not be all on him. But defense? Nah, J.J. Redick is not going to teach defense and some of the other aspects of the game. He wasn't a good defender himself. Someone tell Bronny James, I know you're listening. Keep your head up, young man. Keep your head up and just grind it out, man. Your father said that you don't care about what people say. I don't believe that for a second. You don't make it to the level that you made it at without being a competitor. You don't. I know you're a competitor. And it's okay to hear the noise, to be pissed off. That's what being a ball player is all about. But you got to put the work in. But you need help from your coaches. I'm fumed by what I see from the coaching staff of the Lakers as it relates to this young man. Dalton Knecht at 17 was an absolute steal. He's a plug-and-play guy. As good as he's looked in the summer at times, he's going to look better in the winter because he's playing against real players and with real players. He might win Rookie of the Year. That's how good he is. I had to get that off my chest because I'm tired of reading these nonsensical articles and headlines about Bronny James not being a good player. He's a talented guy. He's not a great player, but to dismiss him as like some bum, stop it. Now, Jalen Brunson. 6 months ago, when there were rumors out there that Jalen Brunson was going to take a less than market value deal, there were snickers. People were laughing. Some people believed it, but a lot of folks were like, no way. This guy has a chance to sign for $250 million next year, and he's going to take $156 million. No, he's not going to do that. He did it. Now, do I think it's admirable? Yes. But it's not like he is not getting $156 million over the next 5 years. You think you can live off that? I think I could. How many cars do you need? How many houses do you have to buy? We're talking generational wealth. This guy, by the time Jalen Brunson is 31 years old, 32, he will have made over $250 million in salary alone, along with endorsements and whatever else. I'm not in his pockets. He could have signed for the maximum, done whatever he wanted to do. But my point is, let's not bring out the violins or save some of the pats on the back. Jalen Brunson wants to do something that has not been done since 1973. Win a championship. Do you think when Leon Rose was facilitating the acquisition of Mikal Bridges, he didn't go to Jalen and say, yo, Jalen, we got a chance to get your boy. But fiscally, we need to be here. What are you going to do? You think those conversations were not happening? Mikal Bridges makes $23 million a year. He got 2 years left on his deal. Everybody got to get paid. It wouldn't surprise me that, Mikal Bridges signs for less because they want to win. These are winners. They've won multiple national championships. Like playing in the Bay Area, in LA, and some of these other markets, there's a tax to play in New York. It really is. This dude, Mikal Bridges, Jalen, all these cats, they get to play in Madison Square Garden. It's nothing like it, folks. I played in Madison Square Garden 3 or 4 times in my life. And I felt like the referee had to say, wake up, Muttley. You're playing in the game. I'm being somewhat facetious when I say that, but it's incredible to look into the crowd of 20,000 people. Their lighting system is kind of golden. It's kind of theater lighting. So the emphasis is on the players. It's incredible. I'm like 1/10 or 1% in terms of how I can relate to what these guys are going through. They play in the Garden 41 times a year in the regular season plus playoffs. It's nothing like it. So I salute Jalen Brunson. But do I think he failed third grade math because he's taking $156 million as opposed to 200 and whatever million? No, he's smart. He's smart. That's what he is. this organization hired his dad. His dad ain't going nowhere. Unless he gets a head job, he's going nowhere. So what are your thoughts on that? I'm going to bring it back to the Bay for a second. And I want to acknowledge Anthony Barrene, who's the head coach of the Golden State Warriors Summer League team. And I guess he's had a long career, multiple years with the Santa Cruz Warriors. He got promoted last year to be one of the coaches on Steve Kerr's staff. Didn't know a whole lot about him. I'm very impressed. Coach Barrene, I salute you. After going 1-7 last year, the Warriors are 5-0 right now in the Summer League. If you think Steve Kerr is not noticing, he's noticing. The Warriors in the summer look like the Warriors in the winter. They play smart, aggressive, cohesive basketball. I love it. That's not by mistake. Give the coach some credit, and he's going to start to make some noise. He really is. So, Coach Barrene, I salute you, brother. Now, people can stereotype you, and that can get in the way of your ascension sometimes. He might want to consider that, and what the framework of what a head coach looks like and all that crap. But the man knows how to coach. Doug Christie, who took over as an interim coach before Mike Brown was hired, I believe. I'm so impressed with Doug Christie as a coaching candidate. Every time I watch the Kings now, I'm really impressed with him. And I'm impressed with Coach Harding also, the coach of the year in the G League, who coached the Stockton Kings. She knows, she's a brilliant coach. And why wouldn't she want to be a head coach in the NBA? She's already gone on some interviews. She was a great player at UConn. Big fan of hers. And in some way, somehow, there's going to be a bag waiting for her because she's phenomenal. So the Kings got a nice staff. And the Warriors have a nice staff. Jerry Stackhouse has been a great addition to the Warriors as well. So those are some of the things that piqued my interest off the top. Feel free to chime in, all right? I'm going to go out and acknowledge some of the people who have entered the chat. SG says, "What's up, Frank? I'm doing good, brother. How are you? How you doing?" Grand Admiral. What's up? How you doing, brother? Did I see the Serbia versus France game? No, I did not. Tell me about it. You can figure it out. I actually was at a place that I had no internet over the past couple of days. I got back today. I had no internet. I had no TV. I had my phone, so I had a little bit. It was coming in and out, but I was away from civilization, dude. And it was good to kind of take a step back for a minute. So what's up with Serbia and France? What happened? You make some really great content. Oh, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thoughts on Brandon Podzinski and Trey Jackson-Davis? Both of them look like 2 5-year veterans in the NBA. They were 2 of the 3 best players in the game. The other one was Montes Barcelos, the rookie of the Chicago Bulls. He's talented. We've seen the highlights. He played with G League Elite, but he's skinny. It's going to take him some time. And Chicago is trying to win now. They're going to put him on the court. He's going to get his minutes. But how he affects winning, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I am Frank Red, everybody. This is the In the Dungeon Show. Feel free to join in if you want to. Um, the Denver Nuggets, when they decided to let KCP go, and there was this outrage about who was going to play two guard for the Denver Nuggets. Christian Braun's name was thrown out there, the young, talented player out of Kansas. And he's definitely going to have a role and an opportunity to play that position. But the guy who might be emerging is Julian Strathers from Gonzaga, the late round draft pick, 27, 29, I don't remember. He had 32 points tonight, I believe. This dude is looking really, really good. And he could be a bargain for the Denver Nuggets and a guy who brings some new life to that two-guard position. He's going to have an opportunity. So Nuggets fans out there who think that the coverage is bare, it might not be bare. I mean, internally, you might have a guy. He's 6'7", decent defender. I think one of the things that the Denver management took pause on, and it's unfair, but they watch Anthony Edwards just light Kiptavious Caldwell-Pope up in the playoffs. And they were like, is he over the hill? And if he's not over the hill, do we want to pay him 3 years at $66 million? They drew the conclusion that no. We got some young boys here internally that we think can play. So that's one of the things I wanted to raise to have you chew on. I also wanted to talk about PJ Hall, a big man who, out of Clemson, who I had championed quite a bit on this show. Watched him last year. I am a very good talent evaluator. Doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. I do. But I'm right more times than I'm wrong. I knew PJ Hall was going to be a solid NBA prospect. He didn't even get drafted. To me, the Warriors should have been all over this guy. And maybe they made some phone calls and he chose Denver. I have no idea. But this guy needed to be in a Warriors uniform. The Denver Nuggets signed him. And guess what? With their first-round draft pick, young man out of Dayton, rupturing his Achilles, PJ Hall's going to play this year and probably play an integral role. He's smart. He's tough. He's disciplined. Jokic is going to love him. It's not that hard, folks. Frank, have you watched any new movies lately? Like I said, I was out this week, so I didn't go to the movies. But what I decided to do, midweek, I watched a movie that has already been in theaters. That's about 10, 13 years old. And when I saw the movie the first time, I clearly wasn't in the right headspace. I went to see a late show. The movie is long. I fell asleep. I woke up and I came away from the movie thinking, okay, it was okay. But having the opportunity now to sit in silence and watch the movie I'm getting ready to acknowledge was a true blessing. This movie is an underground hit. And if you have not seen it, I'm going to suggest that you do. Now, before I acknowledge what the movie is, I'm going to give you the backstory. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is a series of independent movies by a Swedish author. It's from a book. This guy died, and they started making these Girl with the Dragon Tattoo movies after he had died. Excellent movie. So if you like movies and you like independent films, look at the independent versions of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. A big time studio, I guess Paramount, bought the rights in the United States. They hired David Fincher, great director, and he did a remake of the movie starring Rooney Mara and Daniel Craig, James Bond. And I watched this movie, I want to say on maybe Wednesday. The movie's really good. It has everything. You know, the only problem that this movie has is too long. It's a long movie. But great acting. Rooney Mara, who plays the girl with the dragon tattoo, she brings it in all aspects. There's sex appeal there. She's a great actress and intrigue. And Daniel Craig was solid. I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, watch this movie and then reach out to me and tell me what you think. All right. If you don't follow me on X, what's wrong with you? Stop following me. All right. At Big Frank Red. What's up? Y'all know I follow back too. I'm always doing that. Hit the like button on the show. But the girl with the dragon tattoo, the modern day version, if you will, I saw that movie this week. It's like maybe 2 hours and 30 or 40 minutes. It's a long movie, but thoroughly entertained by it. It's a smart movie, so you got to pay attention. And yeah, so that's my recommendation. I won't give a whole lot away. It's basically the premise of the movie is they hire an investigator to look at the history of this rich, well-to-do family, and they want him to solve a murder of someone in the family. And there's a host of, potential targets who committed this crime. And there's a lot of intrigue there. And when violence, intrigue, and wealth kind of mix, it gets complicated. I'll just say that. We know that throughout history. My man Glendosha says, what's good, Frank? Do you see the Warriors bringing in any more big men besides trying to get marketing? No, I don't. I think marketing was the guy that they kind of kicking the bushes on. I think they're going to go with what they have. I mean, it wouldn't even surprise me if Marquise Bolden got a shot. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Trey Jackson-Davis has taken a step up. Now, he's not the most beautiful offensive player. That's going to take some years. But this guy knows their system now. He does. He knows their system. They re-signed, they extended. No, they did not extend. They exercised Kevon Looney's contract. They love Kevon Looney. And I think that Kurt probably thinks that less is more of Looney. So it's not like Kevon Looney can't play. It's like we can't play him a lot. So if you got a center combination of Trayce Jackson-Davis, Kevon Looney, and you got Draymond finishing the games, the Warriors like that lineup. They like a lineup that has Draymond, presumably Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins, Stephen Curry, and pencil in anybody else you want. Is it Podzinski? Is it DeAnthony Milton? Will Slow-Mo get some run late as a facilitator? The Warriors are fine. Got Buddy Hield also. So the answer is no. Because the Warriors just said, I forgot who said it. One of the executives said that they're $500,000 away from a second apron. They ain't going over that apron. So if you can get a home run for $500,000, the Warriors are all ears. But that player probably isn't out there. So the answer is no. SG, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is a psychological thriller novel by Swedish author and journalist Yeah, Stinglet Larson, right? It was published uh, posthumously in 2005, translated into English in 2008. Yes, yep, yeah. Great books. He wrote excellent books and made it into a great movie. Um, yes, that's my take on the Kings and the Warriors. I don't want to pour water on the Kings, but the Devin Carter signing was strange. Not because he can't play. He can play. Not because he's not going to be a good player, because he is going to be a good player. How good? Probably solid. Probably solid. But this dude's going to pay dividends. But would you, with the 13th pick, draft a player that you knew needed shoulder surgery, that was going to be out 6 months, in a make-or-break year? Figure that one out for me. It wasn't like there were no other options at 13. That was puzzling to me. Somebody comment and tell me that was a good decision by the Kings. I don't get it. Dalton Knecht was there. He was a plug-and-play guy. You signed Malik Monk. It isn't like Dalton Knecht can't play defense. It isn't like you can't find another third guard in free agency to give you what Devin Carter's going to give you when he comes back. That was strange. And if it wasn't for getting DeMar DeRozan in free agency, I think that the Sacramento Kings would be all over Monty McNair. And maybe they still are. But there's good vibrations throughout Sacramento because they got DeMar, and rightfully so. But are you guys with me about that? I thought that was crazy. I really did. Even though I think Devin Carter is going to be a good player, waiting on him for 6 months when they had some needs that they could fill right now, I didn't agree with. Some might say, yeah, well, they should have drafted Jarrett McClain, the young kid out of Duke, who's a Sacramento native. I watched him a couple of games, and I'm not going to draw any conclusions. But whenever, and I don't follow social media a lot. You guys know that. I do X, and that's about it. I don't even know how to I got Instagram. I don't even know how to turn it on. I'm not one of these social media wizards. I don't do that. I do X because I can write. Jarrett McClain supposedly is very active on social media. He does all this stuff, and people love him for a lot of different reasons. I want players that are 24/7, who have a 24/7 mentality when it comes to basketball. Now, I'm discounting the time when you're not practicing and you're not playing games. Your free time is your free time for your family, so on and so forth. But I want your focus on basketball. That has to be the main thing. Because winning is important. Winning is hard. Is Jarrett McClain talented? Yeah, he's talented. Is he a difference maker? I don't know. I watched him now 2 or 3 games in the summer league, and I'm like, yo, dude, turn the energy up, man. Don't give me 16 and 5 one game, and then game 2, you're 2 for 8, 2 for 9. No. I want guys who are hungry. Give me another Tyrese Maxey, who was drafted 21 out of Kentucky, who plays like His feet are on fire. Those are the winners. Give me a Brandon Podzinski who has the gall to believe that he's one of the top players in his class, win Rookie of the Year, and then, well, I'm not only Rookie of the Year. Was he Rookie of the Year? He was first team all rookie. Yeah, Big Vic was Rookie of the Year. But then go out there and play like it. I want those guys. Key says, what's up, Frank? Do you think the 76ers have a better team now with PG? I've been saying there's a good wing away from contending. I think they're right there. I'm a Paul George guy. I like him. I mean, he's like a nice guy. And he has a really good relationship with a friend of mine. We ain't best buddies. I'm not trying to convey that. But, you know, Brian Shaw and I are cool. And I know B. Shaw and Paul George are really good friends. So I'm like one of these guys, I'm a character guy. If you down with B. Shaw, you down with me. You know what I'm saying? And watching Paul George's Podcast P, I think it's one of the best podcasters out there. It's smart, it's intelligent, and yet it's very sensible, it's very calming. So when I consider that Nick Nurse is one of the best coaches in the NBA, you got Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George. I think that health is possibly their kryptonite. But in terms of talent, I think Philly's ready to rock and roll. I do. I think Paul George helps them exponentially. So, I mean, they are exponentially better with Paul George. Tobias Harris, nice guy, pretty good player. He's not Paul George. They have a solid team. Kelly Oubre has found a nice little niche role for himself. If Jared McClain can understand what this is all about, I think he's going to contribute as a rookie. He's going to be coached up. Drummond is one of the best backup sitters in the NBA. They got Eric Gordon. Philly's right there, man. They are. Glenn says, yeah, I thought it was crazy, especially since they had Davion Mitchell and he is coming around. Yeah. They also have Keon Ellis. So I think whatever Davion Mitchell was going to give you this year, Keon Ellis can give you. And Keon Ellis has a contract that if somebody offered it to me, I would take. But I'm talking on the radio for free. Keon Ellis, 3-year deal, $8 million. Come on, man. In the NBA standards, that's like less than minimum wage. And yeah, he has security, he can buy a house and stuff, but I felt bad that the Kings didn't pay him what I think is a respectable salary, because I don't think that is. Davion Mitchell is in a position where his agent, I'm sure, is banging on the door for an extension. And I'm sure the Kings are like, we're not ready for that. So they made a move. I don't have a problem with them trading Davion Mitchell, who gets a new breath of fresh air, a new environment to go out and potentially prove that he's not only an NBA player, that he deserves an extension or a second contract. Because the Kings wasn't there. And I can respect that. Davion Mitchell did a nice job. People liked him, good teammate. But on the court, he didn't produce. And I'm one to believe that anybody who shoots the way that he shoots, kind of like a duck, is going to have a hard time making contested shots. So I think it works all the way around. I just have a problem waiting on a guard who is projected to be good to very good, not great, 6 months. when you need everything right now. I'm going to tell you guys, don't be fooled. Mike Brown signed a 3-year extension for what, $8.5 million a year. The Kings are probably on the hook for about $25 million. I expect the Kings to be a 4th or 5th seed in the West, which means that they're going to be right around 50 to 52 wins, right? If the Kings don't win an opening round series, I think Mike Brown's going to get fired. I believe that. It's loony talk if you inject logic into the conversation. But the NBA is not about logic. The NBA is about creating narratives, hope, and it's a bit of a fantasy land. So if your management and you're focused on raising ticket prices and selling to your fans that we're trying to win a championship, you can't consistently roll out a coach, regardless of how good he is, unless he's winning and making strides. You know, Mark Jackson, who I know, I respect, I think is a hell of a coach. Part of the Warriors narrative for sacking Mark was the internal stuff, that, okay. But always it was this narrative, this came from the owner, well, we thank Mark for getting us to this point, but we don't know if he can get us to the next level. I didn't agree with it, but that is a narrative. That is a real narrative. And in the case of hiring Steve Kerr, it actually worked. Steve Kerr took the strong foundation that Mark Jackson had established, and he took it to another level. The Kings are already good. Most of their top players are signed for multiple years. They got good young players. Do you think that job isn't attractive? That job is very attractive. You know, think of whomever you think is a good coach who's on the sideline right now. Scotty Brooks took OKC to an NBA Finals. He hasn't been a head coach in about 4 or 5 years now. You think Scotty Brooks doesn't want the Kings job? Where's he from? Stockton. Played at Cal Irvine. So Mike Brown knows that this is a big year. He has to get it done because he has the players. Do I want him to be fired? Hell no. I do not. But would not surprise me. Would not surprise. Internally, if they want to go Doug Christie, Doug Christie's impressive. I'm very impressed with Doug Christie. I am. Another point about these bloodthirsty coaches who only want winning players. The Brandon Podzinskis of the world, the DeAnthony Meltons of the world, the Slow-Mos, the Andersons of the world. Buddy Hield was kind of a reach, but I think people think he's probably a decent guy. You gotta win, man. You have to win. I mean, that's why we're basketball fans. That's why we love basketball. And football fans love football. I like football. I could even say that I love it. I mean, I don't want to miss my Sundays. I like college football just as much, but it's different with basketball because I played that sport the most. I know how minute the difference is between winning and losing. It's not about the talent. It's about the heart. That heartbeat, that oneness. You see it with UConn. Danny Hurley went up there in a couple of years and built that. Steve Kerr and the Warriors built it. It's hard to maintain. That's why Denver got bounced last year. Is there anybody right now who thinks that the Dallas Mavericks, without question, is going to be in the Western Conference Finals next year? I don't. Will they be a really good team? Yes. Could the Warriors make it to the Western Conference Finals next year? I think they can. Can the Kings make it to the Western Conference Finals? Yes, they can. Yes. It's that close. I remember we had a bunch of coaches on leading up to the NBA draft. And there was a coach on, I was on with Larry Kruger. And Larry Kruger has some of the best guests of any of these like podcast shows, regardless of the sport, football, basketball, whatever. Larry has a lot of resources. And he had a coach on who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. But I'm a big man, right? And I'm a big man, and I had to learn how to play basketball. I wasn't blessed with Chris Webber's type talent. No, I didn't have that talent. So I had natural size and strength and intelligence. And I was competitive, and I was hunger, and I had a hunger to learn and get better. So I needed to be taught the game. You couple that with having excellent coaches and excellent teammates, and I became a pretty good player. When I looked at Zach Edey, well, I said, oh, this kid's going to be an NBA player. He's going to dominate at times. You see how big this kid is? You see the chip that he walks around on his shoulders? You know, it's like a Brooklyn brownstone. Think of the most sturdy, beautiful Brooklyn brownstone that you've ever seen. They got some in Harlem. They also have some in St. Louis. If you've ever been to St. Louis, they have some of the most beautiful structures that are like in ruins at this point. That dude competes. You're starting to see what I'm seeing now. And this coach that was on the show didn't have many positive things to say about Zach Edey. I know Zach Edey's going to be a player. Is he going to foul a lot? Yeah, he is. Can you play him 38, 39 minutes a game at this stage of his career? No, you can't. But there are going to be games this year that he's going to wreck through teams playing 25 to 26 minutes a game because he's so massively big. And he doesn't have a lot of moves, but the 2 or 3 moves that he has, he's mastered. He's going to be a good player. He was dominating Klingon on UConn, and then Danny Hurley started double teaming him. My point is, we don't know how good Memphis is going to be, but they could be decent too. They could be all right. So, for everybody who's like downtrodden, the Warriors, the Warriors are solid. They're as good as any. They're not as good as anybody, but they can beat anybody. The Kings are more talented than the Warriors, and they should have a better record. They should have 50-plus wins. The Kings last year averaged 116 points a game. They're going to average 119 to 120 this year. They'll be one of the top 3 scoring teams in the NBA, top 3 to 5. Keith says, do you believe the NBA would be better if they took away zone defenses? There should be more points. Scoring would go up. But I like zone defenses. I never thought that I would like it, but I like teams having the ability to play zone. And I'm going to tell you why. Because zones in small pieces intellectualizes the game. And it creates room for specialists. 25 years ago, the 3-and-D position did not exist. Didn't exist. I mean, guys like Jerry Seasting, You know, there was like a couple of those guys in the league. There's probably 20 guys, 25 guys in the league now who would be labeled like 3-and-D guys. And not necessarily like by position, but your ability to shoot has been emphasized even more now because of zone defenses. So I like the NBA just fine when they didn't have zone, but I think it has created another element to the game that I like. I like. The players are so good, you can't play zone the whole game. You can't. You can play it in spurts. It's helped teams like the Miami Heat, who uses it as a primary defense at times. Steve Kerr, I think, has been very effective at times playing zone defense. Some teams should play more zone. The Lakers rarely ever play zone. And they talk about them not being a good defensive team. Fix it. JJ Redick is probably going to play some zone this year. So that's my answer. I don't love it. I didn't like playing zone as a player. I love playing man-to-man because it's a better defense, and I'm competitive. But as a coach, I see how a zone defense in certain instances can be effective. I also wanted to mention another name. Kevin Knox, the former Kentucky Wildcat, first-round draft pick of my New York Knicks, didn't work out. Got traded to Detroit, had a moment last year with Detroit, and I think the fact that he played well against the Warriors helped him gain their interest. And this dude went to a free agent camp by the Warriors, and watching him play over the past couple of days, past couple of games, I think Kevin Knox has a chance of making the Warriors on a minimum veteran contract, and maybe resurrecting his career. It's never been about talent. This dude is very talented. Think about that. People will say, well, Red, what about the Warriors free agents? Kevin Knox is a free agent who they can afford, who's looking for an opportunity to eat. You think that guy can't play in the NBA? His problem is consistency. And, I'm sure Draymond was in his ear tonight after the game, said, yo, dude, great game. Can you do it again? And when Podzinski and Trey Jackson-Davis shut it down like they probably are, we want to see you go out there and get you a 30-piece. Go get you 20 and 15. This is your opportunity. So I'm rooting for Kevin Knox to resurrect his career, possibly as a member of the Golden State Warriors. If he makes the team, I think he's going to get an opportunity because he's a smart player. Do you think Jaylen Brown should get the last Olympic spot instead of Derek White? That surprised me. Yeah, I do. I think he deserves it. Do I think having Derek White on the team is a sham? No, I don't. Do I think Jaylen deserved to be on the team more than Derek White? Yeah, I do. Even with Derek White having World Cup experience, he won a gold medal when Popovich was coaching the World Cup team. I don't know, what was that, 4, 5, 6 years ago, as a member of the San Antonio Spurs. But I think based on what Jaylen Brown has done, I think he deserved it. Now, let me say this about Jaylen Brown, who I think most fans of basketball like this guy. I like him. He has a persona that I think is inhibiting his growth, or maybe not his growth, his brand. And this is about branding. If you think politics don't matter in sports, you're out of your mind. It does matter. The decision makers decided that they wanted Derek White for whatever reasons. And some of them are not basketball related. Over Jaylen Brown. I heard some things, Eric Cantor, Freedom, Enos Cantor, and he made some stuff online. I'm not even going to repeat it because it's not intelligent. About how society feels about Jaylen Brown for whatever reason. I was disappointed by that statement. But I'm also disappointed that Jaylen Brown's not on the team because this guy's worked so hard. I covered him when he was at Cal. And he was a good player in college. He's on in Hall of Fame arc at this point, and I think he deserved it. I also think that, again, him even commenting that he was greatly or mildly upset about not being on the team doesn't help him. Because I think 4 years from now, he probably had a shot. He probably still has a chance. Do you see Caitlin Clark going on Twitter blasting the decision makers of the people, the USA committee who picked the women's team? No. I haven't seen that from Caitlin Clark. Says, well, I guess I got a lot of work to do. I need to work harder. You think she believes that? You think Caitlin Clark believes at this point? Now, when they picked the team, that was different. But right now, 25 games in the season, you think Caitlin Clark doesn't think that she's not one of the 12 best players in women's basketball? Of course she does. 12 best Americans. And she is. But she handled it differently. And guess what? She's going to be on the team in 28 in Los Angeles. If Jaylen Brown came out with a statement and said, you know what? I would have loved to be on the team. I would have loved to represent my country. But I got to tell you what. Seeing my teammates, my 3 teammates, Derek White, Jason Tatum, and Drew Holiday representing the Celtics, representing our country, warms my heart. How do you think that would have came over? That would have came over pretty darn well. Sometimes you got to take one. You got to see the bigger picture. Even though it's muddy. You learn that with age. Sometimes I got to take one to see the bigger picture. We all get screwed, and it doesn't feel good. Raise your hand if you've never been screwed before in your life. I don't mean literally. Well, I do mean literally and figuratively. but in life, right? Who has had somebody get a promotion over them that you deserved? You had your route changed just because, somebody wanted to do it. Things happen. And, Nike might have had something to do with it. Well, that's not so far-fetched that Nike had a role in picking the team. It's not absurd. So, yes, I think Jaylen Brown deserved to be on the team. Do I think it's the biggest tragedy in the history of mankind? No, I don't. Do I think he should have been supportive of Derek White? Yes, I do. So, that's my take on that. Pasta of my domain. Would you include Keon Ellis as part of a package to get a Portis or Cam Johnson? Definitely Cam Johnson, not Portis. Portis kind of has a persona. He challenged his former coach publicly in ways that I didn't like. I think it led partly to his coach's demise. He has a history. No. I think you could get a Bobby Portis late in the season because you're making a run towards the Western Conference Finals, like a Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington type situation. But trading him now, nah, I wouldn't do that. Cam Johnson, I like. I think Cam Johnson could be a Sixth Man of the Year candidate. I do believe that. Keith says the reason why Caitlin Clark was left off the Olympic team was because she would have been the most loved and followed USA athlete in the Olympics. Yes, politics play a role in these decisions. Yeah, I mean, Caitlin Clark would have been one of the most loved and, attention-getting players on the team. But 25 games into the WNBA season, she also would have been one of the more respected players. In spite of her turnovers, she had, the Fever beat the Minnesota Lynx today, 81-74. Caitlin Clark had 17 points, 6 assists, and 6 turnovers. Way too many turnovers this year. Way too many. And those turnovers is just a lack of focus. So I could see, even though I think she's one of the more talented players and she could easily wear that uniform, I could see some of the veterans being upset with her because she turns the ball over too much. She gotta stop that. If this Fever team is going to take it to the next level, she needs to have like a 3-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. And as brilliant a passer as she is, she turns the ball over way too much. And most of the time, they're unforced turnovers. It's a lack of focus. At the beginning of the year, her teammates were dropping the ball and dropping passes all the time. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think she needs to do better. So, I hit it earlier, but I want to raise the conversation around hip hop once again. Common and Pete Rock came out with an album on Friday, and definitely a big moment for hip hop. Really, really good album. People should check it out. Pete Rock is one of the true great producers in hip hop. And although Common usually is not mentioned as, one of the top 10 MCs, he wouldn't be out of place on a lot of people's lists. This man has had an extraordinary career, is having an extraordinary career. One of my top 10 albums of all time in hip hop is Like Water for Chocolate. I love that album. Had production from Jay Dilla, Kanye, Ye. Like Water for Chocolate. If you ever want to listen to a hip hop album, I highly recommend that one. Common has had several. Common has one of the most important hip hop songs in the history of the genre, and I Used to Love Her. A song about the journey of hip hop. This guy's had an incredible career. And he deserves more respect, to be quite honest. But he's such a Renaissance guy that he doesn't seem to fight it as hard as maybe some other people would. But Common is a great artist. And Pete Rock, if you like vintage 90s based hip hop, where it's real simple, hard beats, loops that are very attractive to the ear, you're gonna like Pete Rock's production. So, big up, man. I'm very happy about them. I'm gonna give you guys another story as well. It's kind of interesting. I got a song coming out next month. It's called "My First Coach," and I received a mastered copy of the final, right, of the song, and I listened to it on my phone the first couple of times, And I wasn't in love with my performance. And when you got a critical ear and you're an artist, you wouldn't necessarily listen to everything. No one else would notice. They won't. They just listen to a song, unless it's just outrageously bad. But my ear was so meticulous in judging me that I wasn't in love with it, and you know, it bothered me mentally. I'm not gonna say, you know, I definitely wasn't depressed, but I didn't feel good in that moment. I got home today. I listened to the song maybe 5 more times on a real system, loudly. And I was like, whoa, I like the song. I like the song. So I guess the point I'm making is that you got to relax and just chill and let it breathe. I assume it's kind of like having like a nice glass of wine or having a nice meal. You can't really draw any conclusions if you just scarf down your meal. You know? You got to eat it at a rate that allows you to appreciate it. And that's what I did with my songs. And I was able to draw a conclusion that, okay, this is pretty good. This is on a level that I feel comfortable. Whether or not everybody else, that's their decision. But I feel comfortable with what I did. And you know, kind of getting back to Common and Pete Rock, you gotta just kind of chill and look at the long narrative and draw a conclusion. And when I do that with artists like Common, I realize that he's had one of the greatest careers that hip hop has seen. So yeah, you're a fan of hip hop, give that album a listen. There are other new releases out there that I think deserve your listen and your interest. The Beat Miners have a new album out. They also have a record out called I think it's My Year. That I like, featuring one of the rappers is Rashid Chappelle, who's dope. A lot of people don't know about him. He's a really, really talented cat. All right. Hopefully you guys are banging the like button on the show. And you are subscribing. We're trying to run the numbers up. I really appreciate it. I work extremely hard in preparation for the show, which is why it's very content oriented. I'm not pulling it out of anywhere. I do a lot of research. So if you appreciate it and you like it, then hit the like button, subscribe to the show, and follow me on X if you want to. All right. Now, my show is not about politics, but sometimes politics intersect with sports and life. And what I'm going to say about the Trump situation and the shooting is I'm disappointed. Some people are just like, they're on 10 when it comes to politics. My thing is, the people decide. It's not about whether or not you or I individually like a candidate. Because sometimes we don't like either candidate, but we are part of the process. The people decide. The people decide by voting, not by doing anything else. And I guess Trump's ear was glazed. I haven't had access to media, so I haven't done a whole lot of research and stuff, but I'm glad that the man was not hurt or fatally shot. I don't like anybody losing their life, but I'm glad that did not happen. We position ourselves as the model of the world for humanity. That was not a good look for us as Americans, as a country. And I take great pride in knowing that I live in a country that other countries respect. Yeah, Jimmy made a great point. Jimmy said someone did lose their life, though. Yeah, they did. They did. And again, I'm not as informed as you are, but I did have the information. Somebody behind Trump, right? That's horrible. I think it's horrible. And you're right. Prayers go out to anybody who lost their life, because you're right, Jimmy. Some people did lose their lives. Innocent people who were engaged in, a integral way in that process. They made a decision to do what they did. But innocent people, no, that really bothers me. What I also saw was the bravery being exhibited. You saw that FBI agent who stepped right in front of Trump? It was a woman. She's going to be, I don't know what her career arc was, but she's going to be on 10 in a minute. That was unbelievable. I'm not going to get into the conversation of it. Number one, I'm not that informed for the reason that I've stated. And the other thing is, how could somebody get that close to a president? How could that happen? And I ask that question because that was one of the biggest fears. President Obama. I mean, this guy's gone on to be one of the top presidents in the history of our country. But before he became president, people were on pins and needles. So again, I'm not going to get into the specifics in the conversation of what transpired. I wanted to raise what happened. What I will tell you is I will educate myself between now and the next day or so. And if you want to reach out to me on X, you got a question, you want to dialogue with me in any way, that's fine. But I'm not in a position now to have an intelligent conversation with anybody about the specifics of what took place with Trump and the shooting. What I will do is correct myself and say that some people did lose their lives, and that's sad, and my prayers go out. But I'm not going to embarrass myself. I'm not going to disrespect you by talking about something very seriously that I don't have all the facts about. All right? Just Beast Up says he was a firefighter, right? Who was covering his two daughters and wife when he heard the shots. Yeah. Sad day for America. I agree with that. The gunman's name was Thomas Matthew Crooks. Yeah, I heard about that. I know he was only 20. He was identified as a Trump rally. Yeah, I know that. Thoughts on Jalen Brunson's contract? What a guy. Yeah, Keys, I talked on this. I talked about Jalen Brunson early in the program when I first started. Because obviously I'm a Knicks fan and I'm a Jalen Brunson fan. But what I also said was, this is a guy who has perspective, right? 250 million is not 156 million, but I think Jalen's going to be okay, right? When Jalen Brunson is 31 or 32 years old, he would have made $250 million in salary, not including endorsements and so on and so forth. So did he take one for the team? Yeah, he did. Did his dream team, the Knicks, give him an opportunity that no one else was going to give him? Yeah, they did. Is he in the perfect situation? Yes, he is. Do the Knicks aggressively go out and get Mikal Bridges without consulting Jalen Brunson about what they were doing and knowing that they needed to have some fiscal responsibility to acquire one of his boys? No, doesn't happen. So Jalen Brunson did an incredible thing that most players would not do. But this is a guy who has perspective. This is a guy who wants to win a championship, something that has been done since 1973. And let me tell you something. If you're loved as a basketball player in New York, it's like being Derek Jeter. Jalen Brunson will never pay for another meal if he doesn't want to in New York. He will never have a bad seat at any theater in New York. You know, he will be an A-lister for more than a conceivable future. You know, he got a chance to be Walt Clyde Frazier, Earl Monroe, beyond John Starks, one of my favorite players. So he did something that was admirable, but financially he's going to be okay. And if he's still rocking at the age of 31, 32, there's another bag there. You know, there's another bag. You know, we just looked at a player from the Jones. Was it Shea Jones of the Baltimore Ravens? Won the Super Bowl. Young man died at 40 years old. His family said peacefully. I'm not a big money guy. I'm not. I like to be paid what I'm worth, what I think I'm worth, but I have more money than I actually need doing what I do. Having more money, yeah, that's great. But I don't wake up every day, you know, thinking, wow, how much money I'm going to make today. No, I don't. I wake up thinking, you know what? I'm glad I'm alive. I'm glad I have the ability to take care of myself. You know, I don't need help taking a shower. You know, I can walk miles. I'm active. I can stand on my feet. You know, I can smell the fresh air. I still have my taste buds. I know what, you know, collard greens and cornbread smells like. A fresh plate of lasagna. I can smell it. I can smell the aroma. I take pride in all of that. I still have my voice. Watching the gentleman on the ESPYs a couple of days ago who was using his eyes to communicate, the former New Orleans Saints player. I can't think of his name now. You know what I'm talking about. To see him still fighting, even at this debilitative state, is inspirational to me. It's not about money. So Jalen Brunson gets it. Talk about LeBron James and Bronny James. Jalen Brunson gets to work with his dad every day in a professional environment. How about that? That's awesome. So, you know, Jalen Brunson left a lot of money on the table, but he's doing just fine. I'm sure his wife was, I don't know how comfortable she is. I don't know what that conversation was like, but money is not their problem. Key says, I would not have left an extra $130 million on the table. I get it. But, and I'm not saying I would do it either. I'm not in that situation. I'm not saying I would or would not. I don't know. What I'm saying is that I'm not driven by money. What I'm saying is Antoine Walker fumbled $110 million. It's about what you do with the money. Could you take that $100 million and invest it in education, medicine, the arts, and help a bunch? Yeah, you can do that. But you can be meticulous with $156 million too also. So that's my point. SG said, I would like to send my condolences to, Jacoby Jones. There you go. Thank you. Jacoby Jones, Baltimore Ravens Super Bowl champion, dies at 40. And it was a very somber moment for the Jones family. Of course it was. Anybody who loses their life of a loved one, it's sad. But his family said they said he died peacefully. I don't know what that means. I have no idea. But I was happy to hear them make that statement. It's just beat up. Me neither. But everyone's different and grew up in different financial situations. Yeah, exactly. I don't. I wouldn't judge anybody about what decisions they make. The Warriors had an opportunity to benefit from Stephen Curry early in his career because he had a bum ankle, and for 3 or 4 years, this guy was the most underpaid NBA player. You didn't hear Steph Curry complaining in the media about how much money he was making. Over the past 7, 8 years, I don't think Stephen Curry has left any money on the table. I don't know. That doesn't appear to be the case. And with the philanthropic endeavors that he and his wife are involved in, spending their own money, why would he leave any money on the table? So as you said, Keys, everybody's different. All right. This has been awesome. This has been a great show for me to do because I've been thoroughly entertained. I hold myself to a high standard. Hopefully you have enjoyed the content. And that's my goal. My goal is to bring it every show. Don't always reach my goals, but the intent and the execution, I'm very serious about that. So hopefully you can hear it. Hey, Frank, join too late tonight. I'll watch the replay after your, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you, AB. I appreciate you, brother. And let me say this. A lot of people are watching the shows hours after, a couple of days. It might not seem like a lot, but the impressions are going up. And we're reaching heights that we have not reached before. And what seemed like a mountainous statue that we could not reach, I'm encouraged. I'm just gonna keep doing what I do. And I appreciate you listeners out there for encouraging me and giving me the opportunity to do something that I love with a captive audience. Hitting the like button is extremely important. Spreading the word and joining the show is important also. And, you can follow me on X if you want to. That's always cool. I like to engage and get your thoughts. But yeah, a lot of people are watching the show in different times, and that's really, really cool. Keith says, always enjoy your content, Frank. Thank you. Pasta of my domain. Missed that Stevie Wonder song in the final segment. Yeah, you know what? Being on commercial radio, you have some benefits. It can be more restrictive, but there are business-oriented things that you can do that you can't do as an independent content creator, which is what I am right now. Every broadcast, every commercial station has the ability to play music because they fill out this list. It's an annual rate that they pay to ASCAP, which is the recording entity, and there's several. But radio stations pay an annual fee, even if they're talk stations. So it gives them the luxury of using songs, even though they might not use them. They have the ability to do it I was a music heavy show on KCK along with sports. And I think it added to the show. There's no doubt about that. I can play my music on my show here. But if I play some other stuff that I might want to play, I'll get sued. I'll get taken down. A lot of bad things happen. So, but thank you for acknowledging that. I really appreciate it. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to get out of here. Success in getting paid is a manifestation of the whole process. If you as an individual don't do things to help other people make their lives better, as far as I'm concerned, you haven't done nothing. My name is Frank Red, everybody. Hit the like button, subscribe to the show, and follow me at Big Frank Red. Have a safe and peaceful week. And once again, prayers up to everybody who have lost their lives over the past couple of days. And well, everybody have a prosperous week. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Good night, everybody. Peace.